Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive into the history of space exploration.
Yeah, it really is amazing, the scope of this topic. And it's not just a simple timeline of events either, is it? It's about delving into the why, the motivations, the technological leaps, and what this whole endeavor says about us as humans.
Absolutely, so much more than just like dates and names. Okay, so most people, when they think about the beginnings of space exploration, their minds immediately jump to, Sputnik in '57. But looking at our sources here, it seems we should probably rewind a bit further, right?
You're exactly right. To really grasp the origins, we need to go back to a starting point that might surprise some people: World War II and the V-2 rocket.
Oh, wow. So in the midst of global conflict, the seeds of space travel were being sown. I mean, that's a pretty fascinating connection. What's the link there? Well, you see, the V-2 rocket was initially developed as a ballistic missile, a brainchild of Wernher von Braun, but it maybe unintentionally became the first human-made object to reach space, to cross that 100-kilometer boundary, I mean.
Wow, so a weapon of war kind of inadvertently paved the way for spaceflight. That's wild. And then just a few years later, in 1949, we have a modified V-2 capturing those first images of Earth from space.
Right. Just imagine the impact of those images. For the first time, we saw our planet not as this vast landscape, but as, this fragile sphere just kind of hanging there in the void.
Yeah, that must have been a pretty profound shift in perspective. And, speaking of pushing boundaries and taking risks, I got to ask about the use of animals in those early days of space exploration. It's a bit of a controversial chapter, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Before we dared to venture out ourselves, we sent animal astronauts, if you will. Albert, the rhesus monkey, sadly, he didn't survive his flight.
Yeah, his story, I think, really highlights those inherent risks involved in exploration. And then there's Laika, the Soviet dog who orbited Earth in '57, a one-way trip, as we know, because deorbiting technology just wasn't available yet.
Right. And Laika's mission, while ethically complex, I think it underscores just how much was unknown back then. The effects of spaceflight on living organisms, it was all a complete mystery. I mean, many even believe that humans wouldn't be able to withstand the G-forces of launch or survive in zero gravity.
So it was really a leap of faith, driven by, well, a thirst for knowledge, I guess, but with undeniable sacrifices made along the way. Let's go back to 1957 for a second, though. A pivotal year, not just for Laika, but for Sputnik as well.
Oh, absolutely. Sputnik 1, just this seemingly simple metal sphere. I mean, it changed everything. It wasn't just the technology. It was kind of a symbolic blow to the U.S., and it ignited the space race. And suddenly, space exploration, it became intertwined with Cold War anxieties and national pride.
It makes sense, right? It wasn't just about scientific progress anymore, it was about global dominance. So the stakes, they just got a whole lot higher.
Yeah, you could say that. And that intense competition, it fueled rapid advancements. Just 4 years after Sputnik, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth, a monumental achievement for the Soviets.
I mean, Gagarin's story, it's truly inspiring, isn't it? To be the first human to leave Earth and to see our planet from that vantage point. It must have been an overwhelming experience.
It fundamentally altered our perspective, that's for sure. And, Gagarin's flight, it wasn't just a Soviet victory, it was a giant leap for humankind. It showed us what we were capable of achieving.
And then in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova becomes the first woman in space.
Incredible accomplishment. Though it is striking that, to this day, she remains the only woman to have flown a solo space mission. It's a reminder of those gender disparities that have, unfortunately, persisted in this field.
Definitely raises questions about the barriers women have faced and continue to face in space exploration. But while the Soviets were hitting all these milestones, the U.S., they were setting their sights on a different and maybe even bolder goal: the moon.
Right. President Kennedy's 1961 speech, it perfectly captured the ambition, that national pride, driving the Apollo program. Landing a man on the moon, it became this ultimate objective, a symbol of technological and even, you could argue, ideological supremacy.
And the Apollo missions, especially Apollo 11, I mean, that's what most people instantly think of when they hear space exploration. But those iconic moments, they were built upon a foundation of a lot of other, maybe less celebrated, but equally crucial missions.
Oh, definitely. Take Apollo 8, for instance, in 1968. The first crewed spacecraft to orbit the moon. Can you imagine being one of those astronauts, witnessing Earthrise from lunar orbit for the very first time?
Chills, man, chills. And what about Apollo 10, the so-called dress rehearsal for the moon landing?
Right, Apollo 10, a critical step,
Yeah.
Testing the lunar module, the descent procedures, all just a few miles above the lunar surface. The level of skill and precision involved was just incredible. especially with the limited computing power they had back then.
It really is mind-boggling when you think about the complexities they overcame with the technology of that era. And then, of course, July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong's one small step. It's an image and a phrase etched into our collective memory.
Yeah, no doubt. The moon landing, it was a watershed moment, a global spectacle that transcended those political divisions. People all around the world united in awe, watching as humans walked on another celestial body for the first time.
It's an achievement that just continues to inspire awe. And while, Armstrong and Aldrin were exploring the lunar surface, it's easy to forget about Michael Collins, right? Up there orbiting above them in the command module.
Yeah, Collins' experience, often overlooked. It highlights that psychological dimension of space travel, that isolation, the solitude of orbiting the moon alone while your colleagues are making history on the surface. It's a fascinating and often forgotten aspect of human spaceflight.
Definitely a unique and probably pretty lonely perspective. As we kind of move into the post-Apollo era, we see a shift in focus, right? From competition to collaboration. The launch of that first space station, Salyut 1 in 1971, it marked a new era, continuous human presence in low Earth orbit.
It was a pivotal transition, really. The goals of space exploration, they were evolving, becoming less about national prestige and more about, well, scientific discovery, international collaboration, pushing those boundaries of human knowledge even further.
From a race to the moon to a quest for knowledge and collaboration. Quite a shift indeed. And it's during this era that we start to see, well, this surge in robotic missions exploring our solar system.
It's exactly. In '72, NASA launches Pioneer 10, the first spacecraft to leave our solar system. And then there were the missions to Venus, like Mariner 10, capturing those first close-up images of this incredibly harsh planet.
No, and we can't forget about the Soviet Venera missions, which actually landed on Venus, sent back the first images from the surface of another planet. Imagine seeing those alien landscapes for the first time.
It was a truly monumental achievement. It revealed the incredible diversity of our solar system, but also the immense challenges of exploring these really extreme environments.
These were all incredible successes. But this era also saw, unfortunately, a tragic reminder of the risks inherent in space exploration.
You're talking about the Challenger disaster in '86.
Yeah.
A devastating loss. It was a stark reminder of the human cost of pushing boundaries.
Hmm.
That event forced, reassessment of safety protocols and had a profound impact on, I think, how the public viewed spaceflight.
It definitely cast a shadow over the space program, but it also ignited, I think, this renewed determination to learn from those tragedies and make spaceflight safer. And just a few years later, in 1990, we witnessed the launch of a true game changer, the Hubble Space Telescope.
Hubble has arguably been the most transformative tool for space observation, I think, in history, allowing us to see deeper into the universe and capture these, just stunning images that have reshaped our understanding of the cosmos.
Breathtaking views of distant galaxies and nebulae. It's helped us unravel some of the universe's greatest mysteries. And on the robotic exploration front, we've got the Mars Pathfinder mission in '97, landing that first rover Sojourner on another planet.
Pathfinder was a huge success, reignited public interest in Mars exploration, and paved the way for the incredible rovers we have operating there today, like Curiosity and Perseverance. And all of this happening alongside the construction of the International Space Station, a true testament to international collaboration in space.
The ISS, it's a remarkable feat of engineering and diplomacy, a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together, right? And as we move into the 21st century, we see this surge in groundbreaking missions, from Cassini's images of Saturn to the Kepler missions searching for exoplanets.
A testament to human ingenuity and our, I think, insatiable curiosity. Each of these missions pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. And it's not just about sending spacecraft. It's about the data they collect, the insights they provide, the questions they raise about our place in the universe.
Right. It's expanding our knowledge base, challenging our assumptions about the cosmos, but it's also about the sheer wonder of it all, isn't it? The beauty of those images, the thrill of discovery.
Oh, absolutely. Space exploration, it has this unique ability to inspire us, to remind us of the vastness and mystery of the universe, to make us feel connected to something much greater than ourselves.
And that sense of wonder and connection, it's maybe even more important now than ever before. Let's take a moment to reflect on all that we've covered before we move on to some of those more recent breakthroughs and what the future might hold.
So before we paused, we were talking about all those incredible achievements in the late 20th century. But the 21st century, well, it's had some pretty amazing breakthroughs too. Some maybe haven't gotten as much attention as others.
Oh, yeah. Those are always the most interesting ones, those under the radar stories. Anything in particular come to mind?
Well, take the Rosetta mission, for example. In 2014, the European Space Agency did something really incredible. They landed a probe on a comet.
A comet. Wow, that sounds, incredibly difficult. What makes comets so tricky to land on?
Well, comets are notoriously unpredictable, right? Their orbits are highly eccentric, and their activity levels can vary a lot. They're essentially these icy leftovers from the very early solar system. Studying them, well, it gives us this window into conditions that existed billions of years ago.
Like cosmic time capsules, kind of. Shedding light on the origins of our solar system. What kind of things did the Rosetta mission actually find out?
Rosetta was able to analyze the comet's composition in detail. Turns out it's got this complex mix of organic molecules and water ice. And that data, well, it's helped us refine our understanding of how these objects formed and evolved over time.
So it seems like we're getting better at exploring these smaller, more elusive objects in our solar system. What about the asteroid belt? Any notable missions there?
Oh, absolutely. In 2015, NASA's Dawn spacecraft pulled off a pretty remarkable first. It orbited two different celestial bodies in the asteroid belt, Vesta and Ceres. They're protoplanets, basically leftovers from the early solar system that never quite became full-fledged planets.
So by studying Vesta and Ceres, we can kind of glean insights into the processes that shape the planets we see today.
Exactly. Dawn's observations, they provided a ton of data about the composition, the geological history of these protoplanets. It's helping us piece together that story of planetary formation.
And speaking of distant worlds, I can't forget about that New Horizons mission, the flyby of Pluto back in 2015. It felt like, I don't know, like our solar system suddenly got a whole lot bigger when we saw those first high-resolution images.
Yeah, New Horizons totally changed our view of Pluto. It revealed a world far more complex and geologically active than anyone expected. Towering ice mountains, vast nitrogen glaciers, surprisingly diverse surface features.
Pluto went from this blurry dot to a world with its own unique story. It really shows you how exploration can just completely change our perceptions. But maybe the most awe-inspiring achievement in recent times was capturing that first ever image of a black hole in 2019.
Oh yeah, the Event Horizon Telescope, that was groundbreaking stuff. They managed to capture the silhouette of that supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy M87, confirmed decades of theoretical predictions, and gave us this, just this stunning visual confirmation of these enigmatic objects.
A true landmark event for sure. But how did they actually manage to image something that, by definition, doesn't emit light?
It was a phenomenal feat of international collaboration. They basically linked telescopes all around the globe, creating this virtual telescope the size of Earth. And that gave them the resolution needed to observe the faint glow of the hot gas swirling around that black hole's event horizon.
It really highlights how powerful global cooperation can be when it comes to pushing those boundaries of scientific discovery. So with all these incredible achievements, what's next for space exploration? What are some of the big goals out there on the horizon?
Well, one of the most ambitious has got to be NASA's Artemis program. The goal is to return humans to the moon by 2025. But this time, the idea is to establish a sustainable presence there.
Wait, a permanent base on the moon? That sounds like, I don't know, something out of science fiction. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, the moon could act as a stepping stone for further exploration, right? A platform for scientific research, resource extraction, maybe even missions to Mars and beyond. It's this unique environment to study the long-term effects of spaceflight on humans and develop the technologies we need for future deep space missions.
So the moon becomes this testing ground for humanity's next giant leap. Mars. It seems like getting humans to the red planet is, I don't know, the ultimate ambition for a lot of space agencies these days. What are some of the biggest challenges involved in making that a reality?
The journey to Mars. It's a whole different ballgame compared to going to the moon. It's a much longer trip, more perilous. We need to figure out how to protect astronauts from radiation, provide life support for extended periods, ensure a safe landing, and eventually a safe return.
Massive hurdles to overcome, no doubt. But they also represent, I think, incredible opportunities for innovation, for technological advancement. And of course, one of the most profound questions driving all of this is, are we alone? Is there life beyond Earth? Any promising leads in that search?
There are some pretty intriguing possibilities right here in our solar system. Moons like Europa, orbiting Jupiter, and Enceladus, orbiting Saturn, are believed to have these vast oceans of liquid water beneath their icy surfaces.
And water, as we know, is pretty crucial for life as we understand it. Are there any missions being planned to actually explore these these potentially habitable moons?
Both NASA and the European Space Agency have missions in the works to study those icy moons. The Europa Clipper mission, for example, is designed to make multiple flybys of Europa. It's going to be analyzing that icy shell, searching for plumes of water vapor that might erupt from its subsurface ocean.
So we could be on the verge of discovering evidence of life, right here in our own cosmic backyard. That's pretty exciting. With all these advancements, these ambitious goals, it seems like the next few decades are going to be, I don't know, a truly revolutionary time for space exploration.
Absolutely. We're entering this era of unprecedented discovery, endless possibility. New technologies are emerging, international collaborations are getting stronger, and that drive to explore, more potent than ever. Who knows what incredible discoveries are waiting for us as we continue to push the boundaries of human knowledge and venture further into the cosmos.
It's an inspiring time to be witnessing all of this unfold. But for now, let's shift our focus back to Earth and take a moment to reflect on that incredible journey we've taken through the history of space exploration. From those tentative first steps into the unknown to the truly awe-inspiring achievements of today. It really is amazing to think how far we've come. I mean, in what, just a few decades? From those first kind of basic rocket tests to, well, landing rovers on Mars and taking pictures of black holes, the progress is mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it really shows you what humans can do, that ingenuity, that drive to explore the unknown. We went from barely being able to get off the ground to sending spacecraft, beyond the solar system, and all in, what, a single lifetime.
It's a testament to our curiosity, that willingness to push the limits of what we think is possible. And what I find really inspiring is how collaborative space exploration has become, bringing together nations that were once, fierce rivals.
Absolutely. The International Space Station. Perfect example of that shift towards cooperation in space.
Mm.
It shows that when we, put aside those differences and focus on a shared goal, well, we can achieve some pretty incredible things.
It's a powerful message, right? Especially in a world that, let's face it, often feels pretty divided. Space exploration has this way of transcending borders. It reminds us that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
It's true. There's something about looking up at the night sky, contemplating the vastness of the universe, that just puts things into perspective, doesn't it? It creates this sense of shared wonder, a shared curiosity.
Speaking of perspective, one of the most profound images in the history of space exploration has to be that Earthrise photo from Apollo 8. Seeing our planet as this fragile blue sphere against the backdrop of the vast, dark cosmos. That must have been a life-changing experience for those astronauts.
It was a pivotal moment, I think, for all of humanity. It changed how we understood Earth's place in the universe. We saw our home not as this boundless expanse, but as this finite, vulnerable oasis.
A powerful reminder to protect our planet, right?
Yeah.
To appreciate its beauty, its fragility. So, looking back at this incredible journey through the history of space exploration, what are some of the key takeaways for you? What have we learned along the way?
One of the biggest lessons, I think, is that progress comes from being willing to take risks,
Mm.
to push past what we think is possible. Every single milestone in space exploration, it's come from daring to dream big, to challenge those old ways of thinking.
And it's not just about the technological advancements, is it? It's also about deepening our understanding of the universe and our place in it. Every discovery seems to lead to more questions, fueling our curiosity, driving us to explore further.
Exactly. Space exploration, it's this endless cycle of discovery. We keep pushing those boundaries of knowledge, and it inspires future generations to pick up the torch and, continue that journey. And with every mission, we learn more, not just about the cosmos, but about ourselves, too.
It makes us ask those big questions, right? About where we come from, our purpose, our potential as a species. It's a journey of both scientific and philosophical discovery.
And as we stand here, on the edge of this new era of space exploration, with missions planned to the moon, to Mars, and beyond, well, the possibilities are just endless. Who knows what incredible discoveries are waiting for us out there?
That's the beauty of it, right? It's this unfolding story, this grand adventure that we're all lucky to be a part of. So we leave you with this. What will the next chapter of space exploration bring? What wonders will we uncover as we continue to venture into the vast unknown? Keep looking up, everyone, and stay curious.